Mr. Nielsen here with the final installment review video from the Black Death in Florence folder with the Black Death in Florence, the Decameron. For this, directions are please read the passage below and answer the following questions. Description of the Black Death in Florence, Italy in 1348. The rags of a poor man who had died of the disease being strewn about the open street, two hogs came and took the rags between their teeth and tossed them to and fro. Almost immediately they gave a few turns and fell down dead, as if by poison, upon the rags. Source. Remember, it's always important to consider the source when we decide whether or not this information is good information to use to learn about history. Okay. So, the passage above comes from the Decameron by Boccaccio. Although Boccaccio was alive in 1348 and witnessed the Black Death, he was not in Florence at the time, and the Decameron is a work of fiction. It's very important. This right here, this comes from a book called The Decameron. It is a novel. It is a piece of fiction, not a historical fact book, but rather a book of fiction. Okay. And below, you are going to answer the following questions based on the passage you read. Questions 2, 3, 4, and 5 must be answered in complete sentences. So number 1. Did Boccaccio witness the Black Death? Not entirely sure where you would find that information, but I'm sure it's there somewhere. So read through the above here again if you need to find whether or not Boccaccio witnessed the Black Death. 2. What is one reason why Boccaccio's account of the Black Death is believable? So yes, it is a work of fiction, which means it does not have to tell the truth. Fiction can tell some of the truth, but fiction does not have to, and because it's fiction, it cannot all be true. And so we know not all of the Decameron, because it's a work of fiction. We know not, because it is a work of fiction, I should say. We know that not all of the Decameron is true, but there's some information in it that might be true and that we might want to believe. And so what is one reason why we might want to believe Boccaccio's account of the Black Death? Okay, so think about everything. I would say more from the source here. Think about what's written here, and consider why we might want to believe this source of fiction as having at least like a small percentage of truth in it, right? Well, just give me one reason why something from it is believable. Question number 3. If you don't know this one, ask Ms. Miller. What's the difference between fiction and nonfiction? I am certain that if you didn't know it before her class, she taught it to you. So if you genuinely don't know and you are too lazy to look it up on Google, ask Ms. Miller, and I hope she gives you a very mean answer, because you really should know the difference between that by now. So, difference between fiction and nonfiction. 4. Boccaccio's account of the Black Death is fictional. Why does this make it less believable? Right? If something is fictional, why is it less believable? In this case, Boccaccio's Decameron is a fiction book. So when he talks about the Black Death in this fiction book called Decameron, why is that less believable? Okay. Now, we know for a fact that your textbook is a better source to learn about the Black Death Okay? It is a better source, your textbook, a better source to learn about the Black Death than the Decameron. Why? Even though the textbook was written recently and the Decameron was written during the Black Death, why is your textbook a better source to learn about the Black Death in Florence than the Decameron, even though your textbook was written recently and the Decameron was written during the Black Death? And that is all for the Black Death, the Decameron. And like I said, this is the last review video in the Black Death in Florence folder. Remember, all three of these plus the culminating question have to be completed for you to get full credit for this folder. And they are due this Friday, May 22nd by 11:59 p.m. You do not have to wait to the last minute to do them all or turn them all in. You can do them at your own pace and turn them in as soon as they are done. Anyways, get your work done, get in on time, and see you during office hours.